My name is Emily. I am 16 years old. In April, I died for 14 minutes, and I came back with a message from the Virgin Mary that can save your life. Before I tell you what happened, I need you to understand what my life was like. Without this, you would never fully understand why this miracle of the Virgin Mary was so necessary. But first, tell me in the comments, what is the biggest distraction in your life? And subscribe to the channel, because here every day we share miracles of the Virgin Mary that can transform your family. Stay with me until the end because what she revealed to me will completely change the way you see social media. You know that person who wakes up and the first thing they do is grab their phone? That was me, literally. The alarm would go off at 6:30 in the morning, and before I even fully opened my eyes, I was already scrolling through Instagram. My mom, Jennifer, always said, "Emily, you're going to be late for school again." But I barely listened because I was watching my classmates' stories. Breakfast? I ate while looking at TikTok. In the car on the way to school? Snapchat. Do you want to know something scary? I timed myself once. I spent 11 hours a day staring at a screen. 11 hours. That's more time than I slept. My dad, Robert, tried to talk to me at dinner. "Emily, how was school today?" And I would answer, "Good," without even taking my eyes off the phone. He sighed and kept eating in silence. My younger brother, Jake, 12 years old, always wanted to play with me. "Emily, let's play video games together?" And I, "Not now, I'm busy." Busy doing what? Watching videos of people I didn't even know, doing things that didn't matter. But the worst was at night. I stayed up until 2, 3 in the morning scrolling through endless feeds. My mom didn't know. I would put my phone under the pillow when I heard footsteps in the hallway. And look, I wasn't a bad daughter. My grades were good. I didn't use substances. I went to church with my family every Sunday. But even at church, I was thinking about what I was going to post afterward. This lighting is good for a selfie. I'll post it with the hashtag blessed. The truth is that I was physically present in my life, but mentally, I was always somewhere else, always waiting for the next notification, the next like, the next funny video. It was a Tuesday, April 15th. I remember it perfectly because it was the day my best friend Ashley was going to post the results of a dance contest she had participated in. I was anxious to see. My mom was taking me to the dentist. A routine appointment that I was hating because it meant an entire hour away from my phone. In the car, she tried to talk. I was barely listening. Ashley had just posted a photo, and I was analyzing every detail, every comment. "Emily, I'm talking to you." My mom was starting to get irritated. "Sorry, Mom. What did you say?" She sighed. "Nothing, honey. Forget it." I kept scrolling. TikTok, Instagram, back to TikTok. There was a viral video of a girl doing a choreography I wanted to learn. I started watching it again, trying to memorize the steps. My mom was driving on the highway. It was raining lightly, but nothing serious. Soft music on the radio, normal traffic for a Tuesday afternoon. "Emily, can you see if the next exit is ours? I don't have my glasses and I can't read properly." She was leaning forward, trying to see better. I replied, but I didn't take my eyes off the screen. The dance video was so good. I had already watched it about 5 times. "Emily!" Now she was firmer. "Please help me here." "Just a second, Mom." I was commenting on Ashley's video. "You look perfect, girl." And that, just a second, changed my life forever. That's when it happened. I heard my mom scream my name. It wasn't a scream of irritation, it was a scream of pure terror. I lifted my eyes from the phone and saw a truck coming straight at us. The truck driver had fallen asleep at the wheel for just a few seconds. But those seconds were enough for him to invade our lane. My mom yanked the steering wheel violently to the right. Our car went off the road, down an embankment, and crashed into a huge tree. I remember the sound. Metal bending, glass shattering, the airbag exploding. And then, silence. The next thing I remember is floating above our car. It was the strangest feeling in the world. I could see myself down there, unconscious. My mother was screaming my name, trying to wake me up. People stopped to help. Someone called the ambulance. I tried to scream, "Mom, I'm here, I'm fine." But she couldn't hear me. The paramedics arrived quickly. I watched them pull me out of the car and place me inside the ambulance. I felt myself being pulled upward, away from the scene of the accident. Everything became very bright. It wasn't a light that hurt your eyes. It was a light... How can I explain? It was a light that seemed to embrace your whole being. And then I saw her. The Virgin Mary was there. I know it might sound strange, but I immediately knew who she was. She wasn't wearing the blue clothes from the church paintings. The Virgin Mary was dressed in a soft white light, but I could see her face perfectly. She was the most beautiful person I had ever seen in my life. But it wasn't ordinary beauty. It was as if love itself had a face. Emily, she said my name, and her voice was like music. My daughter. I began to cry. Not from sadness, but from an emotion I didn't even know existed. It was as if all the love I had ever wanted to feel was there, in that moment. Am I dead? I asked. For a time, she answered gently. But there is something you need to see before you decide whether you want to stay or return. The Virgin Mary extended her hand to me. When I touched her hand, suddenly we were in another place. It was like watching a giant movie of my own life, but from an angle I had never seen before. Emily, she said softly, I want you to see your life through my eyes, through the eyes of someone who loves you unconditionally. The first scene that appeared was breakfast that morning, but this time I could see my mother. Really see her. She was trying to tell me about a conversation she had with my grandmother the day before. My grandmother had been feeling lonely. Your grandmother asked about you, Emily, my mother was saying. She wanted to know if you can call her today. But in the movie of my life, I was completely focused on my phone. I wasn't even listening. I saw my mother trying to get my attention, sighing, and finally giving up. The Virgin Mary touched my shoulder. Do you see the sadness in her eyes? She feels as if she has lost her daughter. You are physically present, but your heart and your mind are always somewhere else. The next scene was at night. It was late, maybe 1 a.m. Jake, my brother, had woken up from a nightmare. I could see him in the hallway, standing in front of my door. He wanted to come in and talk. He stood there for about 5 minutes, gathering the courage to knock. Finally, he knocked very softly. Emily, are you awake? I remember that night. I pretended to be asleep because I didn't want to stop watching YouTube videos. Jake went back to his room alone. The Virgin Mary showed me how he stayed awake the rest of the night, afraid of having the nightmare again. Your little brother needed you, she said. He admires you so much, but you chose videos of strangers instead of comforting someone who loves you. Then she showed me a Sunday scene at church. I was there physically. I had even posted a pretty picture with the hashtag #blessed. The priest was talking about compassion, about how important it is to be present for the people we love. But I was thinking about how many likes my photo had gotten. The Virgin Mary showed me how my parents were truly listening, how they were trying to connect with God in that moment, and I was right there beside them, completely disconnected. You see, my daughter? She said. Your soul was hungry. You were looking for connection, love, purpose, but you were searching in the wrong places. The next part was the hardest to watch. She showed me all the moments I had missed while I was looking down at a screen. And the saddest of all, the Virgin Mary said, and for the first time I saw a tear in her eye, is that all those hours you gave to the screens were hours you could have spent getting to know yourself, getting to know your family, getting to know God. The Virgin Mary took me to another place. It was like seeing through her eyes. Suddenly I could see young people my age all over the world, all bent over their devices. This is what I see every day, she said, and her voice was full of maternal sorrow. An entire generation of my children who are physically alive, but spiritually asleep. She showed me a 14-year-old girl crying in the school bathroom. She had seen pictures of a party she wasn't invited to. That girl spent 3 hours that night comparing herself to the perfect lives she saw online. Her name is Madison, the Virgin Mary said. She used to be a joyful and confident girl. But now she believes she isn't good enough, that she isn't pretty enough, that she isn't interesting enough. Another image showed a 15-year-old boy playing violent games until 4 a.m. His grades were plummeting. He was becoming aggressive with his family. He could no longer feel joy in anything except the games. Ryan used to love drawing, she explained. He had a natural gift, but now his creativity is dying. His ability to focus is being destroyed. She showed me dozens of other screens. Teenagers sending cruel messages to classmates, girls doing dangerous things just to get views, boys watching content that was corrupting their understanding of love and relationships. All of these young people, the Virgin Mary said, are my children. I love them infinitely, but they can no longer hear my voice. The noise of notifications, of songs, of videos, it is too loud. And what is behind that noise is even more dangerous than you imagine. So she showed me something even deeper. She showed me how, throughout history, the enemy tried to separate people from God. But now, she said, he has found a subtler way. He doesn't need to persecute or threaten. He simply distracts. He gives people something that seems good, entertainment, connection, information, but that actually pulls them away from what really matters. She showed me how tech companies study the human brain to create apps that capture your attention. Many of the techniques they use were copied from casinos. Variable rewards, sounds, colors, all studied to keep you hooked for longer. The gesture of swiping the screen down is identical to the lever movement of a slot machine. You never know what will appear, and so you can't stop. How they created infinite feeds with purpose, with no end point. Because if you never finish, you also can't let go. They know exactly what they're doing, the Virgin Mary said. And parents, most of the time, don't know what they're up against. Then she showed me the scariest part. She showed me how that constant distraction was affecting people's ability to pray, to meditate, to be silent with themselves. To hear God's voice, she explained. You need silence, but your brains are being trained to always need constant stimulation, to always need noise. She showed me moments in my own life when God tried to speak to me. Moments of quiet where I could have felt his presence. But every time I picked up my phone instead of staying with the feeling. God speaks in the silence, my daughter. But you are losing the ability to hear. After showing me all that, the Virgin Mary took me to a place that was pure love. It was impossible to describe. It was as if I were inside love itself. Emily, she said, you have a choice to make. You can stay here with me, where there is no more pain, no more distraction. Or you can go back. The idea of staying was tempting. Being there in that perfect love seemed much better than going back to the confusion of adolescence. But if I stay, I asked, what happens to my family? The Virgin Mary smiled sadly. Your mother would never forgive herself for that accident. She would blame herself for the rest of her life. Your father would grow bitter and lose his faith. Jake would grow up feeling that he should have been closer to you before it was too late. Then she showed me what would happen if I returned. If you go back, it will not be easy. You will have to learn to live in a completely different way. You will have to resist the same temptations that trapped you before. But you will also have the opportunity to help other people find the way. She showed me a vision of the future where I returned and changed my life, where I used my experience to help other young people, where I grew close to my family again, where I found my true purpose. The choice is yours, my dear daughter. I thought of my mother in the hospital, probably blaming herself for the accident. I thought of my father flying back from his business trip, desperate. I thought of Jake, probably confused and scared. I want to go back, I said. I want to do things differently this time. The Virgin Mary embraced me, and it was the most perfect hug I have ever received in my life. Remember everything you saw here, she said. And remember that I am always with you, even when you cannot feel me. The next thing I remember is waking up in the hospital. There were tubes everywhere, machines making noise. My throat was dry. My whole body ached. But the first thing I thought of wasn't the pain. It was my mother. Mom? My voice came out like a whisper. She was in a chair beside my bed. Her eyes were red from so much crying. Emily! Oh my God, Emily! She started crying and laughing at the same time. You're back. You came back to me. The doctors came rushing in. They said I had been clinically dead for 14 minutes. They said it was a miracle of the Virgin Mary, although they didn't use those exact words. My father arrived a few hours later. He had driven all night from his business trip. When he saw me awake, he cried more than I had ever seen him cry in my entire life. Jake was scared to see me at first. He thought he was dreaming. But when I said, "Come here, little brother," he ran to hug me. The very first thing they asked was if I wanted them to bring me my phone. "No," I said. "At least not now." They were surprised, but they respected it. I stayed in the hospital for a week. And do you know what I did during that week? I talked. I really talked with my family. I asked about their lives, about their fears, about their dreams. I found out my dad had always wanted to write a book, but never had the time. I found out my mom was thinking of going back to school. I found out Jake was being bullied at school, but was too afraid to tell anyone. It was like meeting my family for the very first time. That was 5 months ago. And my life today is completely different. I won't lie to you, it wasn't easy. During the first weeks at home, I felt constant anxiety from not having my phone. My hands literally shook. But little by little, with the help of my family and a lot of prayer, I was set free. Today I do have a phone, but it stays in a box in the living room during family time. From 6 to 9 at night, we are a screen-free family. Do you know what we do? We cook together. We play cards. We talk. We laugh. Sometimes we just sit together on the couch watching a movie, enjoying each other's presence. I call my grandmother every week. She gets so happy she always cries a little. I discovered she has incredible stories from her youth that I had never heard before. Jake and I became best friends. He tells me about the problems at school, and I really listen. My grades improved, my sleep improved, my anxiety dropped drastically. But most importantly, I feel present in my own life. I still use social media, but in a completely different way. I post less and interact more with real people. When I feel that itch to scroll endlessly, I stop and remember what the Virgin Mary showed me. And do you know the most incredible thing? I started to feel the presence of God again. When I pray now, really pray without distractions, I can feel that love I felt during my near-death experience. Not as strong, but it is there. If you've made it this far, thank you for listening to me. I know my story may sound crazy, but I needed to share it. If you are dependent on your phone the way I was, know that there is hope. You can be set free. You don't need to almost die like I did to realize what truly matters. Start small. Put your phone away during dinner. Look into people's eyes when they speak to you. Call someone you love instead of just sending a text. Real life, true life, is happening right in front of you. Don't miss another moment of it. The Virgin Mary saved me that day. But more than that, she showed me how to save myself. And if she did that for me, she can do it for you too. You just need to be willing to lift your eyes from the screen and look upward. Thank you for watching. And remember, you are loved far more than you can imagine. Before I finish, I want to ask you for one thing. Write in the comments, "I choose Mary." This simple phrase is a way to show that you are also lifting your eyes from the screen and returning to what truly matters. And subscribe to the channel right now. Here you will hear, every day, testimonies and miracles of the Virgin Mary that can transform your faith and your family. May the Virgin Mary keep every person who heard this story and guide our steps closer to God. Amen.